At Frickers on this Wednesday night, I'm Tim Bolware, and we are glad to join you here on Eagle 99, WFRO, and it's time again to talk about high school football from around our area with Scott Logan. I'm Tim Bolware, and we have Shelby, our producer engineer tonight, and we also, in addition to that, we are on video stream tonight, so you can go to YouTube. Check us out. Nick Roth is running the controls there. And we're happy to be here for $7.99 steak night. Now, you diverted from steak tonight.
Yes, I did.
Logan, and
yes,
you
I
went
did.
with the wings. So give us a scouting report on wings.
Well, the scouting report on wings. Well, I went with the boneless wings tonight, barbecued, of course, and they're outstanding. And the good thing about it is, if you have a Fremont Ross Athletic Booster Card and you're dining in, you get the regular order of wings, and then plus they'll throw in five extra wings. Matter of fact, I couldn't eat them all, so they're over there sitting on the side. But once again, a great meal and a great deal, especially it being steak night tonight at Frickers. But it was awesome. I decided just to change it up, which is not like me normally, but I was in the chicken mood.
Yeah, and I was going to say chicken dance. You're flapping your wings here. I thought that I thought you were having a panic attack or something like that. So anyway, we're here at Frickers for a look at high school football from around the area. Hard to believe it's already the fourth week of the season.
Yeah, it is hard to believe. I mean, you know, with the season now starting even a week earlier than normal, I mean, you know, this is the first full week in September, and here we are on week 4. I mean, we'll blink and half the season will be over. And they're, again, bringing week 4. A lot of teams are already back into regular conference play. There might be one or two that are out there that are still have a game to go before they hit conference play. But, Fremont losing last week to a really good Perrysburg team. They got their hands full again this week with Toledo Whitmer.
Yeah, and the other thing about it is, and you look at it, Whitmer is predicted to win the NLL this year,
right?
The Buckeye
right.
division. So they are actually picked to beat out Perrysburg and Anthony Wayne.
And Finland.
Finland.
Yeah.
So if we saw a great team in Perrysburg
yes, we did.
for this league, we could see a potential even better one in Whitmer this week, although they're and undergoing a few changes. You know, Teron Crawford from last year, he had 198 rushing yards against Ross, 4 touchdowns last year. They're dealing with a younger group, especially with those running backs, but they do have an experienced quarterback coming back in Brady Ford. Yeah,
and there again, that experience at quarterback, which basically is big anytime you're bringing a team back. And, yeah, so you've got a couple new pieces in certain areas. But when you got the main signal caller back, it surely helps and does relieve a little bit of that pressure off the head coach and making, obviously, certain offensive calls.
Let's go over a little bit about some of the other games from last week. And we're going to talk with Ryan Carter a little bit later on at 7:45. His Flyers are off to a 3-0 start as they had a big win last week, beating Wake 42-14.
Wow. You know, and was that game in Toledo, I believe? Or
yes.
was it? Yeah, it was in Toledo.
No, actually it was in Clyde.
It was in Clyde. So, you know, anytime you bring and I'm sure he talked about it probably last week, and, you know, the athletes and so forth and the speed that comes out of the Toledo area, and but good for him. You know, Clyde Flyers off to a great start, but they've got their hands full this week, and this will be a true test for Clyde this week.
They're battling Cardinal Mooney and Ashland.
At Ashland.
It's a neutral site game. So
right.
At least they have that working for them. Some other scores from last week. Bellevue 35, Shelby 33. So Bellevue's rattled off back-to-back after their loss the first week of the season to Clyde.
Yeah, you know, the people in Bellevue, it's the same way. Okay, so you lost the first one. Yeah, it's going to sting for a year. Until they at least get a chance to play Clyde again. But, you know, with Asasi's, he runs a great program up there. And just making the changes and so forth. And that was obviously, it sounds like a great football game, a competitive football game. But, Bellevue's won 2 in a row.
We got some other games. Columbian They're undefeated, 56-45 over River Valley. If you hated defense, that was your game.
Yeah, that's true. There's nothing like a lot of points scored in a high school football game. And I don't know who Columbians got this week, but I think I personally, no pun intended to the Clyde people watching, but I see a healthy, if they're healthy, Tiffin Columbian at my thing is I see them at 9-1. I really do.
They're at Bishop Watterson this week.
So this is the week of the what I would call the real true test, and they're going on the road, and I'm not sure on Bishop Watterson's record, but
I don't even know where Watterson's playing.
I wish Scott Manahan was here.
High school down there. They do not have years and years ago, because all my family went to Watterson. That was the lone one that went to the sales.
Okay.
The rival. They had an offer to build a football field, and instead they decided to spend on their theater. Arts.
Okay.
So, good news for the arts department, but
sure.
not so good news for the football team.
Yeah, I had a good dear friend who was a Fremont Ross graduate and played football, Scott Manahan, who was the baseball coach down at Watterson, and was just recently in the past year elected into the high school baseball Hall of Fame. Yeah. So, and he is now coaching at Ashland College. So
he moved from Capital?
He moved, yeah. No, excuse me. Capital. I'm sorry.
He
is at Capital. I'm sorry, Scott. I get the purple and white mixed up, that happens.
So my cousin played for Scott Manahan.
Awesome.
And then won a state title, 97. And then he became his assistant. Now he's the head coach.
Awesome.
So,
I tell you, just a real quick.
He was coach of the year in the district last year.
Yeah. Just to give you a quick glimpse, everybody knows how big Scott is. He's a good-sized boy. Yeah. But anyways, to make a long story short, both of us hit 3 triples in one game. Yeah. Both of us hit triples. Scott is a big man. So if I picture Scott, Scott's a good 6'4", and he's a good 240, 245, zipping around the bases. But it's good to see that we're going back to the Watterson game again. That's a true test for the Clyde Flyers for sure, and see what they can do.
A few other games of note. We had Perkins 59, Rocky River 28, and they have that Lesh kid who's so good at quarterback. Yeah. And the Pirates are going to be a handful. That Columbian game with Perkins, that will be an awesome game this year.
Yeah, that'll be another good game. Boy, and I'm not so sure where that one's going to be played at.
I'll tell you in a second.
But it's not going to.
I can tell you now. It's the end of the season. Columbian host.
Week 10.
Yes.
That could very well be for the title too. You never know.
Yep. You never know with that. Whitmer won over Clay. We mentioned that earlier, 49-21. Oak Harbor 42, Port Clinton 7. And then Edison 42, Gibsonburg 6. Sandusky gets their first win of the year. You have to feel good for them. I know it's rivals.
Yeah, no,
but
absolutely.
Now you build up your computer points for
well, that's what it's all.
Win. And right, they were able to eke one out last week.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Now you're hoping they win them all. We did beat them, but we're hoping for the best for them to continue and get W's. Which it was nice to see that they did get that taken care of.
A couple other games of note. Lakota beat Northwood 15-13 and Genoa 21, Huron 20. So, and we'll look at the NLL as well. Here's what I was talking about with someone last week. And when all the scores were coming in with the NLL, my worry is the smaller schools are getting hammered by the larger schools. This cross-section, it's going to be a real test the first few years. If they can get through these first few years, keep the competitiveness between the two divisions, it may survive. If not, the NLL, there could be.
They may be looking for a partner.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. That would obviously help out. Maybe another big school, maybe another little school. I don't know, but
it would also nice to have 12 teams.
Yeah, we're at an odd number right now.
11
we're at 11. So it would be nice to have a bigger one. Yeah, no, it's tough. I mean, when you got the smaller schools that are Division II, Division III, that are playing the D1 schools, the Perrysburg, the Findlay, and Whitmer, obviously. I mean, Whitmer's one of the biggest in the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
At D1 with size-wise. So, it's tough. We get it. But you know what? I'll say it, and just like I told you. Speaking of the Little Giants volleyball, the girls volleyball team, beat last night, undefeated, Perrysburg, at home.
They got the revenge.
They got the revenge.
They got the revenge.
It may not say football, but
Yep.
it does. It is a ball, and it says volleyball. So my hat off to Coach Cahill and the girls there, Little Giant ladies.
I just lost you. I can't hear.
Uh oh.
Well, that's
Check.
yeah.
Uh-oh.
Okay. I'll see if we can.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, you got it now.
Okay,
So
good. So I don't know if everybody heard me get excited about Perrysburg, but anyways, talking about
It
the girls.
reminds me of when Ryan Carter was here the last time we were here, and he accidentally hit our power strip. We went off.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. So, anyways, hats off
we have
to.
a bunch of judges here. They're throwing down the gavel.
But anyways, hats off to the Little Giant girls, Coach Cahill, that did, and obviously the girls came to play, and I'm sure the pit, I still call it the pit,
Yeah.
was rocking. It was all tied up, and then went to the fifth set, and the girls pulled out a big W against a very well and an undefeated Perrysburg team. It may not have been football, like I said, but by God, it ends in ball. I don't care if it's a volleyball or a basketball, but we did a good job against Perrysburg.
Yeah, and let's look at some of the other scores from over this past weekend. Anthony Wayne defeated Bowling Green 35-6. Bowling Green have been playing well up until that game.
Yeah. There again, you're having Anthony Wayne. They're in the bigger division, I believe. Memory serves me right. They're in the upper division, right?
Bowling Green's in our division.
In our division. What about Anthony Wayne?
Yes, they're in the upper division.
They're in the upper division too. So, that's good. That's still going to be a dogfight. It'd be kind of interesting to see what happens as time moves on. But we'll see what happens.
Some other scores from the NLL over this past weekend. Finley defeated Southview 49-14. Northview over Napoleon 17-14. We mentioned about the Perrysburg-Ross game. We're not going to go over that.
Right.
Springfield defeated
It is what it is.
33-28. And Whitmer defeated Clay 49-21. Right now, Perrysburg is the only team in the Buckeye that's 3-0. Anthony Wayne and Finley come in at 2-1, Springfield 2-1, and of course Finley's next week's opponent for Ross. The good news is they get him at home. The bad news is that Montgomery quarterback, and he's looking to throw the ball all over the field. And because our pass defense has been suspect early on, we're going to have to figure out things in
Quickly.
a little more in a week's time. Yep. So we'll have to see how that goes. Also in the division, let's go to the Cardinal. Bowling Green, Clay, and Southview 2-1. Ross 1-2. Napoleon is 0-3. But if you look at it from Ross's point of view and playing all those teams the rest of the season, once we get past this stretch of 3 straight against Division I opponents in the NLL and the crossover games, schedule turns out a lot more favorable for Ross.
Yeah, it does, and it's just a completely opposite of what it last year was in the track when we had the smaller schools at the upper and trying to make it through there, and then we got hammered. Of course, we played St. John's and Central Catholic, and then you had the Whitmer and the Finley. But, we all know what happens against the Finley game. We're not going to talk about it, at least not this week. And the nice thing is they do come here this year, which is a back-to-back trip for Finley.
Do you think they'll be the same officials?
Probably
That's
not, but it's strange you say that because the official, that crew, 2 of those people on that crew did come back to Fremont last year.
Under an alias?
No, they was there because I recognized them. Okay, and I'm like, and I talked to Chad Long, and I said I recognize those guys. I go at least 2 of them, and he goes, well, they're under contract. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So, but anyhow. And it was against, if memory serves me right, I think it was against St. John's. But don't quote me on that. But we'll see what happens this week when Fremont Ross travels. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that game.
No.
When Fremont Ross travels to Whitmer, it'll be interesting.
All right, to look at tonight's schedule, we'll have Joe Wyant of Gibsonburg coming up in just about a moment. Then Josh Waring of St. Joe, Ryan Carter of Clyde, and it's Fremont Ross night. We'll have 3 of the players here along with Coach Chad Long. We'll preview the game against Whitmer, and we'll also talk to the kids and get to know them a little bit and just some of the aspirations, goals, things about football and their life for that instance. We want to also thank one of our sponsors. Again, this season, Sunwise Cooperative will be making a donation to Fueling the Cure of $100 for every touchdown scored in games aired on WFRO, WOHF, WLAC, and WMJK. Fueling the Cure is a campaign for food-based research at The Ohio State University for those afflicted with cancer. To date, the initiative has raised $2.4 million. Every year, they have reached their $30,000 goal. Fueling the Cure was established in September 2009 as a joint effort between Ohio-based cooperatives like Sunrise Cooperative. It was created with the hope of finding a common goal for agricultural cooperatives to better their communities through the support of cancer research. For more information, log on to fuelingthecure.org. More coming up next is we'll welcome in Coach Joe Wyatt of Gibsonburg. We'll take a look at this week's game against Hopewell Loud. And that, when we return from Frickers in Fremont, we encourage you to come on by, located between the Turnpike and Highway 20 here in Fremont. The Coaches Show rolls along here on Eagle 99. Back here on the Coaches Show on Eagle 99, here from Frickers on this Wednesday night. Hump Day Wednesday, we're joined by Coach Joe Wyatt as we're going to talk about Gibsonburg football, and you have a big game with Hopewell Loudon coming up on Friday night. But let's talk a little bit about your previous game. I know there was a disappointment losing 42-6 in your last contest to Edison. Of course, Edison has been on a roll lately. It seems like ever since that win against Bellevue a couple years ago, that upset win, they've been been able to turn around their program, and it's been something else. So, what was the difficulty in facing them last Friday night? What did they do well?
Well, they they fire off the ball really well. They're all on both sides of the ball. They come off the ball really well. I honestly think that I think they could win their league in the Bay.
Yeah.
I know Huron's tough, and I know Bellevue's there, but these guys are really good. They got a very, very good quarterback who does everything for them, runs, throws, and they got some kids that come off the ball.
Well, you talk about that line play, and of course your team has struggled a little bit early on. You do have an earlier win. You won last week, so gauge where you are right now. You're roughly a third through the season. So what did you do well in the second game, and what do you hope that will bring along with some of the other aspects of your game as you continue along with the year?
Well, we're very young, so when the season started, we knew our first 5 games if we didn't play well, we could be 0-5 because there are 5 really good teams, and both teams that beat us are 3-0, and they're very good. But in the second game, It rained a lot that week, and field was wet, slowed them down maybe a little bit. They had 4 turnovers, so our defense played well. We had 3 fumble recoveries, and we stripped the ball on 2 of them, and made a nice tackle on the other one to cause a fumble, and we got an interception. So that was what kept us in the game, and then the turnovers, we got excited and played really well. After the turnovers, we moved the ball every time.
You made mention that, just talking to you a little bit earlier outside here, that losing the class from last year and some linemen, and you also made mention that there was an injury from last week, I believe, that an outstanding freshman, I believe,
Yeah.
that got an injury, and obviously, anytime you take a line that's starting to mature and starting to at least know each other and practice not just on the 7-on-7, what's forth, but the scrimmage, and then also in game 1, game 2, then you start losing a couple pieces. Obviously, that hurts your offense.
Yeah, number one, we only got 32 kids, and that's the average number always.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy we lost, he was probably one of our top 2 offensive linemen, even though he's a freshman. He's a big freshman. He's really athletic, and it hurt us losing him. And he's going to be out 2 to 3 weeks probably right now, and hopefully we get him back. But we can't afford. Okay, we're replacing a freshman lineman with another freshman lineman.
Right.
And I don't think many people do that around here and have success. Now we are getting better. Our kids are much better than they have been. The defense played great in that second game. But we're getting better off each week. We are. And we just got to keep it up.
What is the key, Coach, to stripping the football? Because I know they're placing so many rules now on defenders nowadays. You can't hit high, you can't hit low. I mean, pretty soon you won't be able to look at them funny before.
The wet field helps, don't it?
Yeah, it does. Too.
Teams don't play a lot on grass, that's for sure.
But how are you taking advantage of that with a young group to be able to find opportunities to strip the ball?
Well, we the one strip was a good tackle. He just had the helmet on the football, and it was a great tackle. And he stood. But once the guy gets stood up, then we gang tackle, and then obviously we teach stripping the ball once a guy stood up, and that's what happened. It was on one of our seniors stripped the ball the one time and got us a turnover. So that's great. I mean, that's what you should do. But going to the ball and getting more than one guy on the ball, the tackler, you got a better chance of strip, obviously.
The physicality that I know that your team has exuded through your time there at Gibsonburg, and how does that help your defense out to be that physical? And knowing, of course, your numbers are around that 30 mark or so. How do you teach these kids in terms of being physical without necessarily throwing it over the line to try to keep safeguarded from injury?
Well, there's not much. During practice, we can't go full go all the time. We just can't with our numbers. But when we do drills and that, we expect them to go hard. And I think the kids are a reflection of the coaches. I really do. And not necessarily me, but our line coaches, our DB coaches, that if we are aggressive, and we talk about mental toughness all the time and having a heart to play and be tough, I think it rubs off on the kids a lot verbally. If they believe in the coaches, I think because when they get interviewed, I think a lot of times they say the same things they hear from myself or my other coaches.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, that voice, sometimes it's different for getting a voice from your own position coach as opposed to the head coach. So when they say something that you may have said but in a different way, how does that help get that message across to the kids?
Well, I think any way we can be positive with them. Sometimes I may not be the most positive person, but some of my coaches can be. But that's okay. That's what I want them for. They got to pat them on the back a little bit more than I have to. But, A lot of my scouts have got a lot of years in. There's 3 of us, 4 of us has got over 25 years on my staff. So, I got one guy with 42, another one with 32, and 25. We got some older guys, so we're a little bit old school. I mean, and we talk about toughness, and that's why we run the wing T. Mental toughness, being tough, and that's what we try to emphasize to the kids.
How do you define an old school coach?
Well, we're not like we used to be. I guarantee you. 20 years ago, I was not quite as calm as I am nowadays. But we still believe in certain things. And, you can't be late to practice. You can't be late to a meeting. You got to show up before they got to be there. On Friday nights, I put a time down. I expect them to be there in time. It's just by having those little things, give them discipline. We don't have to get in their face as much as we used to 20, 25 years ago. Because I know all my ex-players come around through wrestling or football, and they say, boy, you're mellow, coach. You're so easy on these guys.
And the parents probably say the same thing, too. Son, when I was a lot younger, that's
that's
not the
true.
Joe line I do.
No, I
That's
did
true.
some crazier things. But now I think before I do things now.
Or the older you get, the little more wiser we get,
I
right?
guess, I guess.
So you let that, you push that off to the side of your
Yeah.
assistant coaches and let that, the bear barks or the dog barks and so forth. And but it's always great to have good assistant coaches, because by God, they can make a head coach look like smell like a rose. That's for sure.
I got 2 guys that are really good at helping me on the offensive side of the ball that been around. And if they suggest something, I pretty much do it because they're staying there watching. I trust my coaches.
And, of course, you have Hopewell Loudon this week. They have won games against Cary. Cary's 1-2. 2 years ago, they won state. So that's kind of interesting. They're 1-2, but I mean class from class. But Mohawk 0-3, Fostoria 1-2. So they've had wins against all 3 of them. Have not had a real close game, but their offense is pouring on some significant numbers. They've not had a game where they've scored less than 32. So what do you see in film this week that is going to cause you difficulty?
Well, they got an all-state quarterback, and he's very good, the Crease kid. And then they got a running back that one of the fastest kid probably in the SBC in track he was. So they got some big linemen. They always have physical. Their kids are physical up front, and they always are. And Kodge does a great job coaching every year, and they got it going right now. He told me before the season started, this may be his best team ever, and they were state runner-up before.
Yeah.
So, but he thinks it's the best team he's ever coached.
One other question. We talked about your defense a little bit. So what about your offense for this week in going up against their defense?
Well, we got to move the ball to keep the defense off the field to make it a game. And we've struggled a little bit being consistent offensively. Like I said, we got another freshman taking a freshman spot, but we're going to give it all we got, and we hope we got a few things new we can do and that. So we have to move the ball to have a chance.
Well, Coach Joe Wyatt, we want to keep him mellow there at Gibsonburg. So hopefully you have a good rest of the week. I practice. No, we always appreciate you joining us, and we wish you the best of luck this week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and good luck.
Yep,
Coach
thank
Joe
you.
Wyatt at Gibsonburg. They go up against Hopewell Loudon this week. Coming up next, we are going to talk a little bit with SGCC. Josh Waring will join us as we size up where they're going from here. Difficult loss for them last week in going up against a team that turned out pretty well in South Central. We're going to continue along with our coaches show from Frickers. And, of course, remember, $7.99 steak night. Come on out, enjoy that steak, tear in that hunk of meat. You're going to love it, I guarantee you. More coming up next. Scott Logan, I'm Tim Bull, wearing you here on the radio on Eagle 99. And we're back here from Frickers on Eagle 99. I'm Tim Boulware, and we're joined by Coach Josh Waring as they talk about SJCC football for the Crimson Streaks. And, Coach, I'm not going to even mention the score from last week. Let's just not do that. So,
Fair enough.
Team's off to a tough start.
Correct.
Anything that you saw that was positive from your last game?
Well, yeah, I mean, we were able to move the ball a little bit. We were in the red zone 4 times. Not able to score, unfortunately, except for the 5th time. But we were able to move the ball. And believe it or not, we had 139 yards rushing and 139 yards passing. And I had to check the stats a couple times just to make sure that was true. And Eli Holman had 7 catches for 56 yards, 71-yard return yards. Ethan Grawl rushed for 82 yards, had a 4.8 average. So we were able to do some things offensively. Now, defensively was a struggle. We just, being as young as we are, we struggled at the physical standpoint of it. And, the basics of wrapping up, tackling, and taking good angles, that hurt us. And that's, really led to the demise in that game. But we do. I mean, some of our freshmen are starting to show up. Liam Thiessen had 49 return yards for us. Andrew Spildenner had 56 receiving yards. He had 2 receptions. He had 1 for a hitch and go. That was 42 yards. That was, exciting. So we were able to do some things. And I'm proud of the effort the guys gave. And we had a great week of practice this week, just ending up today. So, like I said, I'm always going to stay positive about it. And, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And that's just a really long tunnel. So
Understandable.
Yeah.
That's the quote of the night.
Yeah,
I love
that is
it.
the quote. That is
There's a lot of positivity from that. So, but how are the kids feeling?
They're great. I mean, the attitude was great this week. I told them, there's nothing that we can't handle internally, that, we're going to be positive no matter what. The deck's going to be stacked against us the entire season. It has been for how many years?
For a few years.
Yeah, it's stacked against us, and we know that. And we go in every week with the same attitude, and the kids are developing. It doesn't look like it on paper, but, they're developing that winner's attitude. Like, I know what I have to do. I have to prepare. I have to study the scouting report. I have to watch the film. We know exactly what our opponents are going to do. I mean, for the most part, based on formation and motions, things of that nature, we know what we have to do. It's just about execution.
Take us into a film session. What do you talk about, and what do you review?
All right, so typically on a Saturday, we'll come in usually 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning at the school. Like I said, we got a new weight room, and it's got a huge TV on it, and I can plug my computer in. We can, after they lift, we'll review our previous game from last night, and we'll go play by play. And you don't want to berate a kid and say, but I want to point at the positives and things that we can improve on. And there's a ton of things we can improve on, and we did some things really good. We made some big holds for Ethan Grawl, and he took off, and he scored our first rushing touchdown of the year. He made a nice cut and broke a couple tackles on that play, and it found the end zone for us. Defensively, yeah, that's where we really struggled. Giving up way too many big plays. 1 or 2 play drives where they just touch it and they're gone. And we practice that. Taking good angles and all the fundamental things. But the film session, it's play by play as long as till we get it done. And I do have a grading sheet for each one, but it's really tough when you get back. Especially we're down South Central, an hour away, and you get back 10, 11, and are you going to stay up and grade every single player? I wouldn't sleep that night. So we'll do it play by play, and I'll talk to each player at that point.
We know all about play by play, Coach.
I would imagine you guys are the experts.
And the interesting thing is, it's still going back in the 80s. I don't care if it's going back and you had the old film, or rather now you're plugging in your computer into a TV. And it's amazing that what a lot of people don't know is you're graded. It's like a grade card. And that's one way, whether you get your case, a little streak symbol
Absolutely.
maybe that goes on the helmet, or a little giant, whatever the case may be, or a Raider, or whatever. But you're graded on that, and there's a lot of pride in getting handed that sticker.
Absolutely.
I mean, because of goals that you have set.
Correct.
And there's a lot of pride in, and when you don't hit that goal and you are so close, there's no, well, you were close. You hit it or you don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have an offensive, defense, special teams player of the week, and we have what we call an executioner. People that played a winning game, that
Right.
played well enough to win. And we've only given a few of those out so far this season, but that's, to me, is really the big award. Was I an executioner for that game? Did I execute? Did I do my job, to put my team in a better position? And the sticker is a crossbone and skull, which is it's pretty cool
Sure.
on a
Heck
gray
yeah.
helmet. So
Absolutely.
Why that one?
yeah,
Well, it's strange you said that, because back when I played, that's what they were.
Yeah.
And one was for an offense and one was
Yep.
for defense. That's just the way it was. And if you got the little giant pride sticker, that was the only way you got those for a win. And the team got them.
Correct.
It was all the way down. Whoever was out there Friday night, whether you were clapping your hands,
Absolutely.
or you were playing one side or other side of the
Yep.
ball, you got a sticker.
same thing here.
And
It's what we
kids
do as
like
well.
that.
Yeah.
And they really do. And it's kind of crazy, because when other teams, you play other teams, some do it, not all.
Correct.
But it's amazing, because the first thing how many stickers he got?
Yeah, we know
That
this
means-
guy's
Yeah,
this
he
is the
must
man
be,
right here.
He must be the man, because after three, half of his helmet in the back's already full. But
The only stickers I ever got were the smiley face stickers. But that was like in the second grade.
But no, it was just an accomplishment, and it's tough for a coach. Like you said, you're grading, and when you get your grade card, you're like, because you don't know until you watch film
Correct.
on the things you do positive and the things you do negative.
You're never as bad or as good as you think.
Absolutely.
That is 100% true.
Yep.
And
And film don't lie.
it doesn't. We used to have our practices filmed, and
Yeah.
sometimes the film was on. We say the eye in the sky is nigh.
Right.
Whether it's not there,
Sure.
because we're not to that point yet where we're
Right.
filming practices,
Sure.
but all that gives you data that
Yeah.
you can input and improve on.
That's great.
Final few questions for Coach Waring as the SJCC gets ready for their contest this week, which I just lost.
Margaretta.
Margaretta.
Yes, sir.
Should know that. Okay. So Margaretta, and they come in at 1-2. And last year, of course, I did that game last year, and they had that great turnaround from Gary Quizno.
Yeah.
They won 8 games. They won 1 the previous year.
Yeah.
This time a little bit rougher start at 1-2. So what are you seeing right now for Margaretta?
Oak Harbor of late '90s, early 2000s. That's
Sure.
If you watch it, and that's in my formative years, and I really studied coaches' defense, and it's very similar, and I see a lot of and offensively as well, but they want to run the ball. They might show up in some spread formations, but that quarterback, and they got a good running back as well, but they want to run the ball with the quarterback, and they've got a speedster on the end, number 6. And if you give him a step and he's gone. So we definitely have our work cut out for us. Just trying to control their offense. They try to not unbalance, but they want to overwhelm one side, overload one side, and just run it that way. And they do a very good job at it.
How is your speed right now matching other teams?
Fair to it's. Let me think now. Our speed, we've got decent speed. We have decent speed on the edge. We do. So we do have some speed, and it's funny you mentioned that, because we've got some things with some of our faster kids we want to employ. We were going to anyways, and we're bringing it out this week. So I think now's the time to do it. Why not? What do we have to lose?
Right.
I mean,
So like you're trying to the playmaker, get the speed kid with the hands on the ball a little
correct.
bit more.
I mean, that's always been the thinking, is get the ball in your playmaker's hands, and that's what we've tried to do, and maybe our quarterback a little bit more too.
Seems like he's got a surprise up his sleeve. I don't know.
No,
Yeah, well, he's not going to mention it to you.
Of course not. Of course not.
Nick Anderson,
Yep.
through the first 3 games, how would you assess where he's at?
if I don't know if I'd be coaching if it wasn't for Nick Anderson this year, because I mean his leadership, and what a tremendous young man. He's done everything. He's been the greatest leader I've ever been around. He's not a vocal kid. He doesn't yell, scream, things like that. He leads by example. Will his stats say how great he is? No, they won't. Counting previous years as well. But he's the heart of the team. I'll tell you right now, and I'm not afraid to say it. And he's doing everything I've asked of him. I mean, if you don't, if we get one guy loose, in pass protection, he's got to make. And he scrambled for, he passed for 139 yards, and he had 49 yards rushing in the pass game. Yeah. And so, a lot of that came from broken plays, and he found the hole and took off. He had a couple 14, 15-yard scrambles. So I'm very pleased with his play.
Nice.
Last question for you, and when you talk about those leadership abilities beyond the football field, what are some of the leadership qualities that you love to see so when your kids graduate, they're able to take the challenges of everyday life?
Well, integrity is number one. I mean, integrity is, doing what you're supposed to do when no one's looking. And I've got a lot of those kids. I mean, every grade, and I was just thinking about it today during conditioning. Every grade level that I have has leadership quality in it, especially sophomore, junior, all the way through. So, like I said, the light at the end of the tunnel, it might be long, but there's definitely light there. I'm very excited, to be the coach and for the future. Leadership abilities, high character people, doing discipline is obviously number one. You could say all the different adjectives that make up a great person, but integrity, I really think is the one that sticks out in my mind. Doing the right thing all the time, every time. And the team we have here, that the guys I'm with, all right, we might not win every game or any games, but they're high integrity character people.
Absolutely.
The big thing, that's what they always say: practice, drill, rehearse. I've always been told that through life, whether it has anything to do with sports or not sports, but you have to practice and you got to be good at your craft.
Yeah,
every day. I don't care if it has something to do whether you're in the car business, you're in the sports field. You got to practice your craft. That's the only way you get good at it. Yep. Consistency. That's the name of the game.
Amen.
Wow. That's great. I just got goosebumps. We still have the rest of the show to do, Scott.
Yeah, really. I understand.
Coach Josh Waring, we do appreciate it. Good luck over in Castolia against Margaret.
Yeah, good luck.
I appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you.
All right, we'll talk a little SJCC football. Coming up next, we'll talk about the Clyde Flyers. They are flying high, a 3-0 start as they get ready for another big battle against Cardinal Mooney this week. And we'll talk with Ryan Carter. Coming up next, we're here from Frickers. Reminder, $7.99 steak night tonight. So come on down. And don't forget, all the college and NFL games galore. Right here. It's the opening kickoff weekend of NFL. And tomorrow night, the Lions play the Chiefs. And you can see that right here at Frickers. Make it a guy's night out or whatever. And come on by because they have great specials every night. And if you want to bring the family, kids eat free, so you can ask your server for more details. More coming up next. The Coaches Show rolls along here on Eagle 99. And we're back here on Fricker's Coaches Show here in Fremont, joined by head coach Ryan Carter of Clyde. They are off to a 3-0 start, beat Wake last week 42-14. And Coach Carter, congratulations on a good start. And it gets tougher this week. We'll preview that, the game against Cardinal Mooney here in just a few moments. But impressions of your 42-14 win over Wake?
Yeah, I was very pleased coming out of that. We didn't particularly start the week before against Toledo Start very well, as I was telling you guys last week. And I just think we came out with a different focus against Toledo Waite, jumped on them early. We were able to have a running clock by halftime and get a bunch of kids in the game. So I thought our focus was pretty good. Our attention to detail was pretty good. I thought we played pretty well on both sides of the ball. But as you guys said, our schedule from here on out really flips and is a different animal.
When you play teams like Start and Wait, who have struggled here over the last few years, how important is that for your guys not to play down to the level of their opponents?
Well, it's tough, and we talked about that coming out of week one when we played Bellevue, trying to get that momentum going back again, playing Toledo Start, and that's always tough. And you do want to, just play football and get better no matter who you're playing. But they are high school kids, and they do know what's going on, and they watch the film, and they understand the differences of each week in, week out. So you gotta try to guard against that. It's not always easy, but we've been fortunate to get off to the start we're at, and like I said, our schedule really turns from here on out.
So playing, and I think I remember when we talked a couple weeks ago, there's a lot of speed up in Toledo. Not necessarily a lot of discipline, but there's a lot of speed up there. And that's one thing you can't teach is speed.
Nope.
Obviously, but to keep your kids under control, to make a great tackle or make a great route run or make a great read. You mentioned something about film study. Is it just one or two times that you're doing that during the week, or do you meet on a Saturday or a Sunday, or maybe that's the first thing you do Monday after, I don't know.
We kind of go to the extreme, as I'm sure a lot of programs do, but I can't speak for anybody else. But I know for us, it starts Friday night after our game. My coaches come over. We watch the game from our game. We break that down. We watch it with our kids the next morning on Saturday. And then they ice bath and injury check and do that stuff. And then Sunday I meet with my staff. And then our kids start to get edits from us on Sunday night, and we watch it every day in practice. So either before practice or after practice, we have a group in to watch film together, and we feel like the classroom part of it is ultra important. So we try to get our kids as prepared as possible. It doesn't always work that way, but with Huddle now, with kids being able to watch it on their phones and at all points in time, it makes life a lot easier. So we do a lot of it. We're fortunate to have 3 or 4 different angles of our game and film that we can break down, and some of the Huddle Assist stuff we send to get different perspectives, percentages of what teams run and things like that. We try to use that to our advantage.
It's amazing how things have changed since even you played, even I played. I mean, you watch film, okay, you got graded, okay, then the flashcards come out on Monday. This is what they run. This is what happens. This is a walkthrough. This is what they do, and you practice it, and you showed it. It's amazing how much more knowledge and so forth that's out there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And you watch over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, the amount of knowledge that a player and a coach can get if they put their time and effort in is really beneficial, we feel. And if they do it, we feel that you kind of give yourself a leg up. Yeah. But you were talking about some players up in Toledo. I'm going to tell you what, Toledo Wade has a tight end type kid that's about 6'4", 225 pounds that I guarantee is going to be playing on Saturdays. Very raw, but you're right. When you play those teams, you look at some of those kids and you're like, man, I'd take that kid in my program any day of the week.
Sure.
And a lot of those kids are subject to a team that doesn't have a lot over as far as coaching and things like that. But I will say this about both teams, Toledo Start and Toledo Wait. They were the nicest, polite staff and kids we had played in a long time, and that has a lot to be said about their coaches and their staffs and their programs.
That's great.
Well, we're talking with head coach Ryan Carter as the Clyde Flyers get ready for Youngstown Mooney coming up this week, Cardinal Mooney, and that will be a neutral site game over in Ashland. We'll, of course, have a preview of that game in just a moment. But the reason why Scott is envious about all the film study and everything, they didn't have quite the.
Well, he knows.
Hey,
he knows.
I wasn't very far behind
he
it,
knows.
or in front.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, you film studied. That was it on Sunday.
That was
Sunday
about
morning.
it. And
It's
you were
like,
lucky to. And I can remember. I can remember when I first started coaching. Now this was basketball. I was a head basketball coach. On the day after your game, you would drive an hour, 2 hours away, meet up with a coach,
Correct.
and exchange the old VHS tapes.
Wow.
And get your
Right
3
on the
tapes.
turnpike.
Yeah,
Yep.
and now it's a click of a button
Wow,
and you got
it's
the
amazing.
game.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
it
amazing.
certainly saves on your car.
It does.
That's for
It
sure.
does. It does.
So let's go over both your offense and defense. First, your offense. 14 points in the first game against Bellevue, but you've had back-to-back 40-plus point games. So what is the offense doing so efficiently right now?
Well,
in this game?
different opponents. Obviously, Bellevue is very sound. As you can see, they've won their 2 games since they played us. Very sound football team, and Ed does a great job, and those kids are really disciplined, so it's tough to move the football on them. But we felt like even in week 1, we had opportunities and we moved the ball. It was just kind of that week 1 thing where you had penalties, you got behind the sticks, and it was tough, and you're playing a good opponent. But I do feel we have progressed. We're falling into a little bit of a comfort zone of what we have player-wise, what we have skill-wise, what we have line-wise, and what works and what doesn't work. And, that just takes some time with high school kids and finding out what you have and what you don't have. And now we're into that phase of I got to go into week 4 with some of the weapons that I didn't have week 1, 2, and 3, or that I had week 1, 2, and 3. We've had a couple of injuries where we've had to move some kids around. We won't have some kids this week. So you start plugging kids in and out, and now you got to figure out what you can and can't do now. So it's a constant chess match, but that's the fun part of it.
I'll ask you about defense in a moment, but is there anybody? I hate for you to single out somebody, but and you could give a group if you want to. But is there anybody that has surprised you or made the greatest improvement in the first 3 weeks?
I don't think it's a surprise to me, but I will say this, and I've said this to you guys a couple times now. My defense has played extremely well in 3 football games. And we have a brand new defensive coordinator in Jake Jenny, who played for me not too long ago. He's a very young pup, and we still have Coach Marty, who has been a 2-time state champion defensive coordinator, so he's still on the staff helping out. But Jake has changed some things, taken over, and is doing a phenomenal job. So I really give high praise to our defense. We got our work cut out for us in weeks to come. Playing the likes of Tiffin and Perkins and Cardinal Mooney this week and Port Clinton next week. Teams that have put up a bunch of points. We got our work cut out for us. But I've been pleased with our defense so far.
Let's talk about Mooney. We know the tradition there. They won a 3-point game. They won against Lake Catholic. That's quite impressive. But then they've lost 2 in a row. One to Clevelandville, Angela, St. Joe's, who we know has a fine football tradition, and Steubenville.
Yeah.
I mean, they're playing everybody, and they lost by 7 to Steubenville.
Yeah.
So what is it that's been the difference in their 3-point win and then also their 7-point loss?
You talk about film watching. I think I've watched that Steubenville game about 15 times this week so far. They have played the good of the good, played well enough against Lake Catholic to win. Cleveland v. Angela St. Joe's is a different animal. With their head coach right now and the kids that they are bringing in, they got 5 or 6 kids that are going to be playing on Saturdays, Division I, in the next couple of years. And then Steubenville. I mean, they are good every year. Reno does a great job. Their kids are very disciplined, and they live and die football down there. So we know that their records is a little deceiving. Watching them on film, it is one of the better football teams we'll see all year. To be honest with you. So they are extremely disciplined. They are extremely big. They are extremely one-sided, which worries me. Their offensive line is just that's all they play is offensive line. They're all probably 6'3", 6'4", 250, 260. They all move really well, and they only play the offensive side of the ball. And I got a lot of kids playing 2 ways. So we got a work cut out for us. They have a great tradition down there. Their program is very established. It's going to be a tough game, but we are very excited to go to Ashland University, play our game against a quality opponent, and kind of set a measuring stick to see where we're at, find out where we're at.
Well, the other thing is, how do you make this as close to like a playoff game even in the middle of the season because of this. You're playing neutral site. You're playing in a college
Yep.
venue, and you're playing a top-notch opponent. How does that make that like a playoff?
Well, it is, and I think kids just understand that nowadays. To be honest with you, you don't get this opportunity every week. That's what we've talked to them about this week. You don't have these opportunities all the time. Not a lot of people get to play in a college stadium this week. You're one of them. So let's go put on our best foot. Let's get our best week of work in we can, and try to go play the best football we can do.
Is that still a 7 o'clock start? I'm just curious.
It's still 7.
Still
Yep.
7
Still
o'clock.
7, yep.
So traveling wise, it's probably what?
No, hour and 15.
I was going to say an hour and 15.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
We've played at Ashland High School
Right.
In the past for the last probably
Right.
7 or 8 years.
Sure.
Up till the last, we did not play them last year, but so we've made this trip quite a few times. Just you're going to the university instead of Ashland High School, so we're excited about it. We took a tour of the facilities this week. We were able to see the locker room and kind of get a lay of the land. Their facilities are top notch. They've treated us great. Now we just got to go try to play a decent football game against what is a quality opponent.
Well, it sounds exciting, and I'm sure the kids are excited about it.
They're
Has the practice
ultra
been a little
excited.
bit different?
It has. It really has. And, just talking, my own son is a junior on our football team, and talking to him and his friends, you can feel that different energy of, they love playing at home, they love playing on the road, but Friday nights are Friday nights, but you put them in a college stadium, you put them in a college locker room, with the big stands and the big press box and the big scoreboard, they get excited about it. So it'd be really cool for them, and I'm excited for them.
Coach Ryan Carter of the Clyde Flyers, we wish you the best of luck. Let's make it 4-0.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Good
it.
luck, Coach.
All
Take
right,
care.
Thank you. And coming up next, it's Ross night here at Frickers. So we're going to have Coach Long. We'll also have several of the players scheduled. Owen Shanahan and Dominic Brown and Elijah Sims all will be joining us here in just a few moments. A reminder, $7.99 steak night here at Frickers. And don't forget, yet you can watch the replay of the Guardians game. Yet they won today.
Don't care.
Yeah.
I'm a Tiger fan. Don't care.
You're a Tiger fan.
No, I understand.
My Cubs won today, so I'm happy about that. And they're in the playoff fight. That's all that matters to me. But no, I want the Guardians to do well as well. It's nice to see our area teams do as well as they can. And speaking of that, we want to let Ross get back on the winning edge as they go up against Whitmer. We'll also preview that game coming up next as we roll along with the Coaches Show from Frickers. You're listening to WFRO Fremont Sandusky. More after this. Look at last week's game, also preview this week's game against Whitmer. And, Coach, I know that was a difficult game you had last week against Perrysburg, 49-20. At least some momentum in the second half. So what was it like for the kids to at least establish some momentum for themselves, considering how difficult the second quarter was when you gave up 35?
Yeah, that's a lot of points. Again, you can't win any game, just like week one. You can't have 5 turnovers. You can't turn the ball over against good teams. And Perrysburg was a really, really good team, fundamentally sound, well coached. There's no, I guess you could say, we had a little bit of confidence in the second half, but that wasn't their varsity team that we were playing against. So that's, to me, it's our kids need time no matter what. And I guess we'll take what we can get and try getting better. And defensively, I thought we played really well, establishing the dominance up front. They didn't have as many rushing yards as what they probably expected, but on the other side, we were giving up the big plays. And that's going to hurt us every time. I mean, it's the same thing that happened against Tiffin Columbian as well as against Perrysburg. And when you have good teams like that, you can't have things like that happen.
Well, it is interesting because right now, your defense is only giving up 3 yards per rush. You've had 2 back-to-back games where you've given up 3 or less yards per attempt. However, the pass defense is
struggling.
And so it's like a Jekyll and Hyde defense right now with it. So how is it that you're able to be so efficient against the run and having still some struggles within passing?
I mean, our strength is our D-line. They didn't start off as well as they want from week one, but since then we've got back in where we thought they would be. And Ryan Hottinger has really stepped up at the linebacker position, and that was a big hole and a question mark for us with losing Mason Valerio, and Ryan Hottinger has did an excellent job there. The secondary, we have pieces coming back from last year, and it's just we haven't mixed well. And too many broken down coverages and a lot of seam routes being open, and we can't have that. Elijah came back this last week and did an excellent job running the alleys, but unfortunately at the free safety spot, you got to be able to cover the pass, and that's one thing we didn't do, and it wasn't just him. It was the whole secondary.
And chemistry early on. I mean, obviously you have what you have in the secondary, but also working in Elijah Sims, who missed the first 2 games, and working back into the wide receiving core. How does that affect that chemistry a bit, and how hard is it to get back up to game speed after being out for 2 weeks?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things. I mean, there's quite a few. Jalen Slick does an excellent job. There's lots of things that are open. It's going to take some time. I believe when Jalen was quarterback his senior year, it took him to week 4 for him to get the system down. It's a Franklin system with Coach East. Week 4 is where Jalen started to really turn it up and dial in and make some good reads and some good throws and understanding completely the entire offense. Well, Carson Caden through the week has been getting rid of the ball quicker, and Jalen's really been hard on him, has even a blowhorn where he thinks he has to get rid of the ball by, and it actually looked a lot better. I just think, nothing's going to be perfect. You got to pressure the throws from time to time, and I still think maybe some of week 1 kind of is still there, but the positive is this: he's getting better in practice, which will correlate over. This is week 4. If I look at Jalen to Carson, this will be the game that he should get better at.
So, as a quick follow-up,
yes,
you do when your assistant coach or office coordinator blows that blowhorn.
Yeah.
What is the time for that? How quick should a quarterback release that? Because I know the reads are very important, but how quick is that to keep that balance between improvising and throwing quickly?
The way this system is ran on offense is you got 3 seconds. It's you already deciphered the defense. You already know where you're going to based on the coverages given in the play. And it's just a matter of getting the ball, take your 3-step, boom, hit it. So sometimes I think we kind of hesitate and wait a little bit too much, and, he's been able to get a lot of yards rushing, which has helped us quite a bit the last 2 weeks with him. But he needs to throw. He needs to be quicker on his decisions, and he's did an excellent job all week doing that. So maybe it's clicking now, and he's starting to get it and trust the system.
Did you shorten up the offense a little bit, or have you added a few more wrinkles, so to say? I know as time goes on, you like to add a couple things in.
Yeah.
But knowing that a couple weeks things didn't click,
Yeah.
is there something else that you're I don't want to say too much tonight because I'm sure Kenny's listening, or he's
Yeah.
got a friend across the street on Franklin Avenue who's recording the thing. But is there a possible little wrinkle?
Well, the way this offense is designed, it's a college-ready offense.
Sure.
So it's also on the receivers based on what the defense is giving them, where he breaks off the route or continue on the route, and they have to be on the same page, being Carson and the receivers. Having Elijah out for 2 weeks plays into that factor because he's our big threat receiver, and I think the gelling is starting to get there. We had a really good week this week with the offense and being on time on routes, so we adjusted the schedule accordingly to do that. And with Jalen having a blowhorn, like Carson's just quicker getting it out, and it's just been a better practice. I feel way more confident that, all right, Carson's getting it now, and the receivers are getting it now, and it's now starting to come together. And like I said, Jalen, it took him week 4 before this happened, and we're hoping it'll be the same with Carson. Now, with that being said, this is a huge task, going against Kenny Winters and Whitmer. Have a lot of respect for Kenny. I think he's an awesome coach, and the program is they got a great program. Even though they're 1-2, you got to see the schedule of what they played.
Right.
And they've had some tough losses, but they're a very, very tough team, and we're going to have our work cut out for us.
We have a couple last questions for Coach Long, and then we'll get the Ross players in here to talk with them for a few minutes here. Frickers on the coaches show, and I have to wonder because people may see the block punt, and I know that you've had special teams. It's been a problem.
Our punt team has been a struggle all year.
So how much time do you work on that?
We work at least 3 days a week on just punt itself, as well as all our special teams. And, obviously we worked extra hard this week because Kenny Winters runs the special teams, and they're always dynamic on kickoff and punt block and stuff. We know
Onside
they're
kick.
coming after it. Onside kicks for sure.
I go back to Frank Beamer, Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
I mean, he was probably the best guy at special teams.
Well, you can say Kenny Winters is in that same category. That's honestly from talking to Kenny, and Kenny and I are pretty good friends, and that's what he focuses on, and righteously so. So yes, we have changed some game plans of some things we're doing on the punt. We can't have a punter take 5 steps and kick the ball. We can't have a punter catch the ball and walk up slow to punt the ball. That's half our problem. Now, with that being said, Braylon Garza has been doing an excellent job punting. I think he has like 7 punts inside the 20, and when he gets it off, it's a pretty good punt, and we're talking about a freshman here punting who's also our backup quarterback. So we got some things up our sleeves that we're going to be doing a little bit different than what we have been.
J.D. Moncrief, is he available?
Yes, he's back.
Oh, nice.
How
That's
much
good.
of a difference does that make? Because your running game has been Carson Caton
Yeah.
over the last 2
Yeah,
weeks.
it has been for the last 2 weeks. Having J.D. back will be huge. He's that dynamic, cut on a dime, can read the blocks really well. We have shuffled around our offensive line a little bit, so I feel that we're in a better situation. I think we struggled a little bit on the offensive line, and we had to make some coaching decisions and shuffle around and make our line a little bit better than what it has been. And having JD back, now we got 3 really good running backs we'll be able to use with JD, Zaylen Harris, and Ty Brown. And we haven't seen a lot of Zaylen just because he's on so much of the defensive side and all the special teams. But we're going to see a lot more of Zaylen Harris this week.
Lastly, they are dealing with some young issues themselves with Whitmer. No Teron Crawford from last year. He had 198 yards, rushing 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But they do bring back Brady Ford. He's been dealing with a bit of injury early in the year, but now they're looking to spring him loose.
Well, the film we watched, he's pretty darn good. He has some.
Can't tell.
Listen, I can tell you this. They have a lot of athletes there, whether they're at receivers or at running backs. At running backs, they have like 5 running backs that they'll use at any time. And they're all kind of have their pluses and minuses based on what he puts on the field. But their receivers, they're pretty good. And they can go up and get it. And Kenny will test us down the seams and up deep, because who wouldn't when you see the way the defense in the secondary has been performing. So our goal is to stop the run and force them to pass and give us a chance. I know I say that, and you're like, ooh, do you really want them to pass? Yes, we do.
Yeah, you want to get in those long situations. Now, defensively, they have one guy on their D-line who could be playing on Saturdays. That's what was told.
Yeah, that's the Carter Lowe kid. He will be playing on Saturdays, or Sundays and Saturdays. He'll be playing both days. No, they're huge. They're always physical. They're big. They'll pull 2-3 guys at times, and yeah, they're a very solid team. They got an all-conference linebacker back, the Kelly kid, who's a stud. He's one of the best linebackers in the conference from last year, let alone being back this year.
One quick question before we get the players on. Whitmer preseason is favored to win the NLL. You saw Perrysburg.
Yeah.
You've seen him on film. You haven't seen him in person yet.
Yeah.
But is Whitmer deserving to be higher than Perrysburg in those pronunciations?
It's always preseason. I mean, you take it for what it's worth. But I would put nothing in, I would never put my chips against Kenny Winters and what he can do, because they're always going to make huge plays on defense. They're always really good on special teams, and they always find a way to do enough, if not more, on the offensive side. So Perrysburg's pretty good.
Yeah, they are. We saw that first team.
And I think Kenny has better athletes than what Perrysburg, but you got to understand Perrysburg's coaching roster. When their defensive coordinator is Mike Ward, who is a defensive coordinator for University of Illinois and for Toledo. Yeah. And then you got Mark Gibson, who's in the Hall of Fame from Clyde, that's been around, that had all the success there. He's coaching DBs there. They have an unbelievable coaching staff, and you could tell that in the game. They were never out of position. They were always in good position, and they were fundamentally sound. It's going to be hard to see Perrysburg get beat, but if anyone could, I mean, that's wide open up there. Yeah, you got Anthony Wayne, you got Finley, who can throw it all over the place. Montgomery went for almost 600 yards, and Whitmer. So that'll be a tough battle up there.
All right, we're going to welcome in the players, and thank you very much, Coach Long. Good luck on
Hey,
Friday.
thank you. Go Ross.
Coach Chad Long joining us from the Ross Little Giants. We're going to welcome in the players. We'll probably bring in 2 at a time, and then we will bring in our last player as well. We're gonna let him scout out. So hopefully that will work out, and we'll work with Scott Logan as well as we continue along with the coaches show here from Frickers. A reminder: $7.99 stakeout. Steak out. You can stake out the steak here at Frickers, and of course they have all the MLB, NFL, and college football action here as well. Big weekend for college sports. NFL kicks off tomorrow night with the Chiefs and the Lions, and then we'll also have Sunday the Browns and Bengals, Battle of Ohio. So we're gonna stick let's stick Owen Shanahan and Don Brown on the mic. Is that okay for Luke? You want to save yourself, or do you want to go first? Okay, doesn't matter. Okay, so we're gonna bring Dom down and Owen Shanahan first, and we're going to talk a little bit about Ross football, get them on. So we'll just put these microphones on, guys, and the magic of live radio. Usually we would have taken a break between him, but we are deciding to put, or we could just do one at a time. That's fine. Yeah, we'll just do 5-minute increments so you can ask some questions too. So we'll get Scott Logan on there. So Dominic Brown joining us, and D-line, and how things going for you so far? You're feeling good. We talked at practice a couple weeks ago, and how you liking? Obviously the 1 and 2 start. It's not what you wanted, but other than that, how you feel things are going this season for you personally, trying to help this group?
For me personally, I feel like I'm doing a lot better at self-reflecting and looking at different looking at looking at different ways to approach things. I used to always just do the same things, but now I'm actually trying to develop technique and skill. And for our team, I feel like we do really well. We just have to keep doing our best. A lot of times we sometimes let plays off or we blow certain coverages, get pushed back on the line. So really we just got to keep going 100% and not take any plays off. And I feel like we may be the best team that, like, I don't know. I don't think any team that we've played in a respectful way has been better than what we can do. I feel like we have always played down and under and not completely done what we can do.
You have, and I'll give you the stat tonight, and not to embarrass you.
Yeah.
But you have 7 of your 8.5 total tackles this year have been for a loss. You have 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Now, that's a wrecking crew. You might get that nickname after I said that. But,
I like that.
But what is it about the difference that you can make on a D-line in causing the strip or the big hit you had in the first week of the season on the quarterback over there at Rogo for Tiffin Columbian? What is it that can set a tone for defense?
I feel like for defense, the D-line really decides the tempo. We have to keep pushing so our secondary doesn't have to work as hard. Our main objective isn't always to get the tackle, but to cause pressure, and that's the most important thing. I feel like overall we have done a very good job. We've closed down runs, but we have to apply even more pressure than what we've been applying so that our secondary has less stress on them and that the quarterback just can't sit there scot-free making a decision all day.
It's interesting. The game does start between the trenches. There's no doubt about that. There's no argument about that. So tell me, so you only play on the defensive side of the ball, correct?
We're moving around.
You're moving around?
Right now, yeah.
Okay. So you do play a little bit on the offensive side of the ball also?
Yes.
Were you a tackle or a guard?
Wherever they really want me, but
Okay.
this week maybe guard, depending how things go.
So Coach Long did talk a little bit about switching a couple things around, obviously, and it'll be interesting. So obviously you beat Sandusky. You had the loss, obviously, last week to Perrysburg. Tell me a little bit. It's exciting to chase a quarterback, Ed.
Oh, yeah.
You flush him out of the pocket. There's nothing like it to get a hold of him before he gets rid of the ball and you knock him down to the ground and you get yourself a sack. But tell us a little bit that you've seen that you're interested going into the Whitmer game.
I'm just pretty excited. I know that my coach has told me that this is a very good offensive line and maybe one of the better offensive lines we've gone against. So hopefully I'm able to perform at my best physically and mentally because that's the most exciting thing about the game for me. Win or lose, I feel like as long as we as a team do our best and play how we can play, that's what's most important. A record doesn't define how hard you play. So hopefully I can do my best and our whole team can perform at our best because Whitmer is a good team. But I feel like if we perform how we can play and how I truly believe and know we can play, I'm very confident about this game going forward.
Awesome.
All right. We had talked at practice that we're interviewing Don Brown. We're going to welcome in two of the other players here in just a moment for Ross and here at Frickers. And we had talked a little bit about track and field for you. You're in the shot and discus. You're a Michigan fan, but you went somewhere different. Now, the people up north might not be happy about it, but you went somewhere different for your track and field camp recently.
Yep. Can somebody else talk? I went to.
Let's just say he went south to the state capitol. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So, but what was that experience like? I know that a little bit different for you, being at Scarlet and Grayland, face and blue. But what was that like for you?
It was a great experience. I love throwing, and I was through for I think a total of 6 hours, 3 hours shot, 3 hours disc. And overthrowing is a thing, but I feel like I was really working the technique area and getting different perspectives because the coaches, the head coach there, really helped look into explaining different things to me and my coach and see things that we can do differently so I can throw further, and they made sense. But even the athletes seemed to really pick up on certain things where I thought I was doing good at. So, like, they taught me how to, like, really focus on contracting the muscles and focus on explosion in certain parts of my body where I never really thought about participating. And that was just a really fun experience. Really great people. They were nice. And, yeah, I mean, it was just amazing getting different perspectives and seeing people do what I love and doing what I hope to do. And they were just all great people.
So, have you looked at colleges yet, or what are you looking for to further your academic career?
I'm still looking. Currently, I'm thinking about aerospace engineering or business, but that can still change because I'm still looking. I have an idea of where I want to go. I'm just not sure what I want to do specifically. So that's still changing how I look at schools. But I have been lackadaisical about looking at schools. I do need to get on that. But hopefully I go to some nice school where I can just go and really understand the topic and gain a basic like understanding of everything so that I can apply it to what I want to do later on.
Well, that's
Great
I
answer.
think it's wonderful.
Great answer.
Absolutely. And
Great
if
answer.
anybody gives you flack about where you went this summer, just have a talk about it. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Tom Brown joining us. We really appreciate it. Defensive tackle for the Little Giants, and we will see you again on Friday.
Sounds great. Thank you
Good
for
luck
having
to
me.
you.
We're going to welcome in. Let's welcome in Luke Durbin. We'll talk to him as well, defensive end for the Little Giants. We continue along with the coaches show here from Frickers, and see what.
Hey, while you're looking
go
that
ahead.
up, go ahead. No,
No, go ahead.
I'm kind of curious because I think it's whether it's your dad or it's your grandfather, Jeff.
Oh, Jeff Durbin, yes.
Jeff Durbin. He is
My dad's dad.
your dad's dad. There you go. And it's crazy. I haven't seen Jeff in a while, and I ran into him at the stadium. I was heading up, matter of fact, to get stuff for the game, and I believe he's still and he works at Cedar Point.
Yes, Cedar
Oh,
Point.
awesome. But no, if you're anything like him, he's an ordinary little guy. I tell you that right now. But in perspective of things, though, tell us a little bit, and he'll touch on it. Tell us a little bit so far what you're enjoying so far at Fremont Ross.
I just love the sport, football. I love all my friends. I've been with these guys since I was little. So just to play football with them going into senior year, I'm just enjoying every minute of it.
Awesome.
Absolutely, and so you do so much on that D line, and I know that you have Blake Shook on the opposite side of you, which is interesting. You have a little bit of rivalry with him.
No, the way I see it, me and Blake are like a dynamic duo, man. I'm always there for him, and we'll flip sides every once in a while and just go at it, man. We're a team. He's like a brother to me. So.
Yeah, great, and that's wonderful. And so I was reading an article that you broke your fibula 2 years ago.
Sophomore year,
Yeah.
yep.
So how much did that motivate you when you were out to be able to play better? And then how hard was it to get back to the speed of the game once you did get back from football?
Yeah. So that happened in the second game against Toledo Start, probably late in the third quarter or something. But it really did kind of hurt just to have to sit out. I went to some of the practices on my crutches and in a hard cast, and just to see everybody playing and having fun, that hurts. That was the first year I did get the starting spot on the offensive line. So it took a while it took a lot of effort, I guess, for me to rehab it. I guess I did that during basketball season. We had the training. Our trainer did a really good job helping me out there. It means a lot just to come back and be better. I know now that I'm a lot better than I was before. So I'm just happy that I was able to come back from it.
So where's your greatest improvement?
I don't know.
No.
I just in general, just from learning from the adversity. You know what I'm saying? That is a big. That was a pretty bad thing to happen. So just to learn how to handle the adversity and come back stronger is probably my biggest thing. Just the learning.
What's been your best memory as a Little Giant on the field?
Just pre-game and post-game, man. I love the locker room after winning the game, going into a game, just everything that goes into it.
It is exciting in that locker room. I've stepped in that locker room a few times, well before you guys are heading out and getting a chance to talk to the coaches and Coach Long a little bit, and talking about the game plan. But tell us a little bit. Are you playing? So you're playing offense and defense now, or just one side of the ball?
Yeah, I'll be playing offensive line and defensive line now.
Okay, starting this week, or is it something you've been alternating? And
I haven't started offensive line yet this year, but
Okay.
I think going into these next couple weeks, we'll try it out, see how it goes.
yeah, so I did hear Coach Long said there was a couple changes
Yeah.
that possibly will be made and so forth. So tackle or guard?
Probably mostly guard.
Okay. You like to be so Tom pull you, right? And then trap or pull, right?
Yeah, that's
Ain't
what I
nothing
like to
beat
do.
by trapping. Oh my God! I don't know how many times I always played wideout, so I got a chance to look down the line and see people trapping, and I'm knocking the guy on his butt, so to say. But it's good that things are changing. It's a great opponent, obviously, coming up in Toledo Whitmer. This is like the real thickness of the schedule, so to say. You know, and your big rivalry is next week. That comes back to Don Paul Stadium, but it's obviously just like anything else. It's 1 week at a time, and I'll never forget Coach Cecil, which none of you probably know, and it's always that first hit of that opponent that sends the true message of the whole game.
Right.
And it's something that is lived into me. And I was an offensive guy, and I just remember watching our defense on the first, because if you thought the first one was hard, here comes the second one. It's just going to be just as hard, and it sets a tone for the game. Of course, you got to play smart, can't be stupid, and that's the biggest thing. And is knowing your opponent, listening to your coaches, because 9 out of 10 times, you know, there's always that chance. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, but they're heading you in the right direction. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And hopefully to victory Friday night.
Yeah, that you always hope for that every week.
Right. Keep that attitude strong, keep it up, and keep that doggone sideline. Somebody, keep that sideline cranking. I don't care if you're down by 1 or 2 scores. You know, game's not over until you know that final 0-0. So.
Great.
Hey, last question, Luke. So have you thought about college yet? Any of your plans that you have? Or?
I'm not really too set on it just now. I'll kind of see how it goes. If I get scholarships or offers, I'll take them. I love football, so I would love to keep playing. We'll kind of see how it goes.
Well, you're off to a good start, so we do appreciate it. Thanks very much, and we
Thank
wish
you.
you the best of luck on Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Luke Durbin joining us, and now Owen Shanahan's going to be wrapping up our interviews with the players here for Ross, as we have Ross night here at Frickers on the Coaches Show, and of course $7.99 night with steak here at Frickers every Wednesday night, along with some of their other nightly specials Monday through Thursday. So, all right, Owen, thanks for joining us, and you know, we'll talk a little bit about your season so far, and you know, you play on both sides of the ball. So, how things going? It's your junior year, so you have one more year in the fold.
No, I'm a senior.
Oh, you're
He's a senior.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
He's a senior.
I was thinking about last year.
I know.
And so I was a guy a year behind already. So, so anyway, let's take a look at your senior year and what were your expectations coming in, and then what have you seen so far through your first 3 games?
Come on, be honest.
Wait,
We're not
repeat
gonna-
that.
we're not
Repeat
What are
gonna
your
that.
put any
expectations?
pressure. No, I mean,
No pressure.
what's it like playing with your friends?
I mean, win or loss, you know, it's great just because we're all out there having fun,
Yeah.
running around, playing football. You know, we've been doing this since we were little kids. I'm playing with a lot of people I've been playing with backyard football, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just, I'm really just trying to take it in my senior year.
What'd you learn from last year's class? Because you had Anthony Van, you had Hammer, Harinshu. Those guys have been here forever. So what did you take from them in their game that you're trying to apply to your game this year?
The confidence. They had a lot of confidence. I feel like I kind of lack a little bit of confidence, so I try, like, when I went up against them in practice, it was like they're ready to go, like, you know what I mean? So it was like, I don't know, just trying to get my confidence up.
So how do you do that? How do you say to yourself, I guess you can't overthink it, but how do you try to build upon that confidence level?
I'm not sure, you know, it's just, I mean, I play hard either way,
Yeah.
so
We talked a little bit about what confidence did you get? How did you apply the success you had in getting in districts in wrestling that you applied to football? Because you had to build up your confidence in football. And I remember talking to you after practice one day, and you were saying that that accomplishment of getting in districts for wrestling was big for you. So how do you apply that to football and improving your skill level?
It's like you work for what you want, and like it just shows how hard I worked to get there, and I made it. You know what I mean? That was my main goal, was to make it to districts, and I made it. So that gave me a lot of confidence, really. Like I could do it, you know.
You know, last week, and I don't dwell on things, but I just bring it up because I hear people, and it's one of the hardest things. And I can't remember if Coach Long was a punt returner or not when he was in high school. It's one of the hardest things in the world to do.
Yeah.
And if you have not been back with 11 guys breathing down your neck and catching a football that spirals in different directions,
Yep.
especially from a left-footed kicker, it's tough. But there's always one thing. You always got to keep your eye on the ball.
Yeah.
And I was taught from Coach Cecil, of all things, who played for the Giants, and it is when you go to so when that ball goes up, your eye's on it, your eye goes down, and if you cannot see anybody, you've got 10 to 12 yards before that ball comes down.
Yeah.
But you can't. People think it's easy. It's not easy. It's one of the hardest things in the world to do is to catch a football. And concentration the same way on catching a slant pattern across the middle. You got to concentrate. Mm-hmm. And if something doesn't go right, you know what? Your teammates should pick you up, and you're back in it again. And sure enough, I remember last year. I remember this year. You seemed like you were in hectic on the defense. It seems you're always making turnovers happen or picking the ball up. And I think you had a touchdown last year. Memory serves me right. Scoop and scores.
Tiffin and start.
Yeah. See, I might be 60, but I still remember those
Yep.
things. But no, it's tough. Football is tough, and sometimes it can't be forgiving. But as a player, you've got to forget. Okay, that's
Right.
over. Now, hopefully, I get a chance to redeem myself and make up for it. And it's a tough thing. It's tough. If everybody thought it was great and easy, they'd all be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes a lot of pride and a lot of heart and soul that comes out of each and every one of you. I don't care whether you're a senior, junior, sophomore. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's next man up. So keep your head high, and you will.
Yep.
And you will, and move on to the next play and continue on. Keep your head high.
My teammates actually did a good job of picking me up after
Good.
that. Like, forget
Good.
about it. You know, it's over.
Yep, it's over. There's
with.
nothing you can do about it.
Yep.
It's of course, you're, whatever.
Right.
Don't listen to them 1,500 or whatever people in the stands anyways. Yeah, they're upset. They want to see
Right.
you do well.
Right.
But, you just pick up and move on to the next play.
Yep.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yep.
Glad to hear that.
Lastly, your college plans, have you thought about it yet?
I'm not really sure, really.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of people aren't.
And that's
No.
okay.
I'm not sure.
I wasn't
yet.
either.
Yeah.
I wasn't either.
Hey, you can always, if Scott Logan wasn't sure, you're in the same
Hey,
boat
I
as
wouldn't
he
say
is.
that. No, I wouldn't say that. No, it's exciting times. And it's a
is.
step, just like anything else.
What's the thing you're most looking forward to the senior year? Has it happened yet, or is have you already had it?
I don't know.
What goal did you set for yourself this year on the football field? You personally.
To just be a great teammate, like just
Okay.
be a great leader, like someone who could just pick everybody up. You know, if we're in the huddle on offense, like we gotta get this first down. We gotta keep getting first downs. We gotta drive down the field. You know, like I just want to be that person that's there for everybody.
Awesome. Good answer.
All right, and we were talking. And of course, I remember that 83-yard touchdown reception you had last year against St. John's. But you said that wasn't your biggest moment. Yours was on defense. So explain that big moment that you had last year.
Oh, against St. Francis.
Yes.
Well, I feel like I was one of the key players on our defense that game. I mean, I think I had around like 12 tackles, a couple tackles for losses too, and I had a lot of stops on fourth down. And I feel like that was a defensive game, really. So I don't know. I feel like I made a lot of good stops, and that was just big to me. Like I did it for my team, you know.
And they needed you in that game because that was a nail biter, as we
Yeah.
will remember from last year. Lastly, so the college plans will come, I know, but what do you like to do in your spare time?
Obviously, hang out with friends.
Yeah.
I like to ride. I like to ride dirt bikes. I'm a car guy too, you know. a car. If I see a car, it would always catch my attention,
Yeah.
and that's really it. Watch football. I mean,
Watch football. Who's your favorite team?
college or NFL?
Yeah, well, either one.
College, Ohio State.
Okay.
NFL. I mean, I'm always gonna rock with the Browns, but I like Kansas City too.
Okay.
Yeah.
They certainly have a lot of fans with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, he's an awesome
Absolutely.
football player. That's
No
for
doubt
sure.
about it. So, well, Owen Shanahan, we wish you the best of luck. Good luck in your senior season. We look forward to seeing you play at Whitmer on Friday night.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right.
Good luck to all you guys. Good luck.
All right, thank you. So that was a look at our show this week, and a reminder that we'll have the Ross game against Whitmer coming up on Friday night. That'll be here on Eagle 99. Pre-game show 6:30, brought to you by UIS Insurance and Investments, and then 7 o'clock with our kickoff. And I was informed that we do have one more break. I didn't know that we had that. We're supposed to take the break at 8:15. So we are a little overdue for that. We'll get you to that break, and then we will have that wrap up our show for tonight here from Frickers. And, of course, we want to thank Shelby and Junior, who were back in the studios, and all their hard work as well. And Nick Roth, who's running the camera for our web stream that you can go to YouTube so you can see our ugly mugs on camera.
Three good-looking guys, though, that
yeah,
represent
exactly.
Fremont Rods. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we look forward to seeing you at the stadium on Friday night, or if you can't, just join us on WFROradio.com or also here on Eagle 99 as Ross takes on Whitmer, and that will be the fourth game of the season. Ross trying to even their record at 2-2. Whitmer will come in the game as well, 1-2. So big game for both teams, trying to even their record at 500. Thanks very much for Frickers and hosting us tonight, and the Coach Show will be along next week. For all of us at BAS Sports Network, I'm Tim Boulware. Have a great night.